Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Kaylee Howarth, and I'm the Training and Communications Coordinator at Marigold Library System, and I will be presenting today's webinar on LibraryAware Basics Print Materials. So what is LibraryAware? LibraryAware is an online design program that's specifically for libraries. With its ready-to-go print and email templates, libraries can easily promote their collections, programs, and services. The templates can be used as is, or you can customize and create your own event flyers, newsletters, social media posts, bookmarks, and a lot more. It's a really robust tool, and it was created by EBSCO, so it's the same company that owns Novelist. Here's just a few examples of print materials that were created in LibraryAware. So you can see there's a lot of different types of materials. So there's posters. Poster templates are made for 11 by 17 size paper. Flyers are made for 8.5 by 11. And then there's bookmark templates as well, which you can get ones that do 4 bookmarks to a page, or 3 bookmarks to a page, or 2 bookmarks to a page. You can have templates that are portrait oriented or landscape oriented. And you'll see on some of the materials, there's a section at the bottom that has the library name, address, and contact information. This is called a branding block. So some templates will have a branding block and some templates won't. We'll start by learning how to log in to LibraryAware. So once you have your LibraryAware account created, you simply go to the website, use whatever your favorite web browser is, and the web address, the URL, is libraryaware.com. And then on the right-hand side at the top, there is a blue button that says Login. So we just click on that. And then we can enter our email address and the password we created for our LibraryAware account. So once we log in, we will then see the home page. Sometimes there'll be a little pale blue bar at the top there. That's just if there are any important announcements. That's LibraryAware's way of making sure that you see those important announcements. To get rid of that blue bar, you just simply click on it and it will go away. And then on the right-hand side there at the top, there's an exclamation point in kind of like a call-out circle, and that, if you click on that, it will just take you to a spot that will give you any information on things that are new in LibraryAware. You have your site navigation links at the top there, so where it says Home, Folders, Newsletters, Subscribers, Reports, and Admin. So those are just links to those sections of LibraryAware. On the right-hand side is your link to the LibraryAware Help menu. If you click on that, the Help menu opens in its own tab. At the bottom there on the left, where it says Stuck, Chat with Us, that's live chat help, and it is fabulous. Okay, LibraryAware, the support is just amazing. I haven't experienced their level of responsiveness and support in any other product. Yeah, it's live chat help. So if you get stuck for anything, you just simply click on that and somebody is there to help you immediately. Just one thing to note is that LibraryAware is based in New York State. So they are on, okay, what is their time zone? Is it Eastern time zone? Anyway, they're 2 hours ahead of us. So a lot of times around 3 or 4 in the afternoon for us, they're closed. But you can then do email support, and it's just as responsive. Like as soon as they're back in the office the next day, somebody is responding to you. So by all means, take advantage of their support options. Continuing on the home page, at the top there's a carousel of templates, and those are new releases. We scroll down, there's another carousel, and the next one is the My Start items. So these are items that you have created or you have marked as favorites. Continuing scrolling down, we next come to LibraryAware staff picks. And then below that is trending now, and these are templates that are popular, currently popular at other libraries. Back at the top there, where it says let's get started, we have a search box, and that's your LibraryAware homepage. Now let's talk about folders, which not even 2 weeks ago were called promotions. So they've just changed the name to folders, which does make more sense. People are more familiar with that terminology. It's just like on your computer, how you organize files into folders, same concept. So to access your folders, again, at the top there, that navigation menu, you would simply click on the folders link. And you use folders to organize your created items by topic. So you want to have broad enough categories that you would have several items in a folder. You don't want to end up having 50 folders with just one item in there. It negates the purpose of having folders to organize things in the first place. So you want to come up with some broad topics to name your folders. So you can see here we've got reader's advisory, holiday closures, e-resources, preschool programs, etc. So you kind of get the idea there. And then you can see on the right-hand side there, it will let you know how many items are currently in that folder. And if you need to create a new folder, there's just a green button at the top. So we would just click on that. And then a little pop-up window appears, and we just enter pertinent details. So you have to enter the folder's name, of course. So this is the topic. Or sometimes in large organizations, like within Marigold, rather than topics, we have them, the titles are staff names. So we each would have our own LibraryAware folder, but that's just because we have several staff members, each doing different things, and that's what makes more sense for us. But when that pop-up comes up, you enter the folder's name. It'll ask for folder description, but that's not something that you have to use, and quite honestly, the folder name should be description enough, I would think. And then there is your option for branding set. Most libraries just have one, the default branding set. If you happen to have created other branding sets, it's just a drop down, and you can select what the default branding set for that specific folder, for items created for that specific folder, would be. So once we've entered that information, we then click on the green button to create folder. So for this example, I've created a folder, a new folder called Reopening. You can see it at the top of the screen there. It says Reopening. And then I can start creating items right from here just by clicking on that green Create Item button. Or I can also do that from the home page, which is how we're going to look at it for this example. So let's go through how to select templates. So there's a lot of different types of templates. There are templates for providing information. So these could be like signage or instructions. So on our home page, we've got that little search box at the top. So in that search box, I'm just going to type in the term reopening. And I can see there that gets me 136 templates. And you can see there in the thumbnails, it'll let you know at the bottom what type of template. So we've got two-sided flyers, posters, which are 11 by 17, another two-sided flyer, and we've got bookmarks, 2 to a page. You can use the refine options on the left to limit your results. So we are going to select, so you have checked off the little box there for flyer signs, and then that brings my results down to 40. Each of those little thumbnails will have a preview link, so we can just click on that link to get more details about the template. So you'll see on the template, this one has a gray box that says placeholder. This is a branding block. So this is where your library's branding would go. The placeholder just means that that section is set aside for branding and you wouldn't be able to put anything else in that section. So again, some templates have branding and some don't, and this is a very easy way to see. So this template, of course, does have a branding block. And on the right, it'll just give us all the details that we might need about the template, the dimensions. So it does say it's 8.5 by 11. And then it also gives us some keywords. So if we were looking at a template, and let's say there was something I really liked about this, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted, I could then use any of those keywords or click on any of those keywords to do a new search. So if I wanted to use this template, I would then click on the blue Create button, or if I wanted to look at what my other options were, I could just click on Close, and it would go back to my results. Then there are programs and events flyers. So LibraryAware is really great about constantly creating new templates, and they are right on the pulse of what is going on in the library world in terms of trends and program and event topics. They are a US company, but because they have so many Canadian customers, they are great about adding Canadian specific templates. So in Canada, our summer reading program, of course, is Game On. So when I type in summer reading, I will be able to see summer reading templates that go along with that Game On theme. So like I said, they're really up on trends, things that are happening in libraries. So here, for example, I type in story walk, and there are templates specifically for story walks. Yoga, dogs, read to a dog programs. So, I mean, really, whatever you can think of, whatever might be going on at your library, there is likely templates created for that. However, if you do end up with something where there isn't a template, there are options for that. You can choose any template because nothing is set. You can adjust anything with it. So if it's just that you like the layout, it really doesn't matter what the theme is to it, because you can adjust the images to then go along with whatever you were specifically looking for. If it's a layout you're happy with, it's totally editable to be custom to whatever you need. There are lots of book templates, which are awesome for promoting your collections. So you can do searches by genre. There's lots of stuff for read-alikes. And any of the book images, you can swap them out for something else. So if there was a Read-Alikes poster you really liked, but maybe one of the books you didn't have in your collection and you wanted to only feature things that your library owned, you could swap out any of the cover images for other cover images. You can do search specifically by authors. And they have some really cool TV themed reading lists. So, or movie reading lists. If you like certain TV show or certain movie, then you might like these books. So those are fun. And then there are blank templates. So this is great if you want to start completely from scratch, if you're really comfortable with designing something from the ground up. Anybody who is familiar with using Publisher, using blank templates will be easy peasy for you. So if you just do a search for blank, and then you can limit by what type of format you're looking for. So we can see there we've got blank, and there's blank templates with branding blocks and blank templates without branding blocks. So all of your bases are really covered. Okay, so now we've gone through that little bit of background. What we're going to do now is switch over to be live in LibraryAware and go through some editing using their drag and drop editor. Okay. All right, so let's start with an information sign. So we'll do our reopening. Okay, and I want to limit, I just want an 8.5 by 11. So on our limiters on the left here, I'm going to select flyer signs. So flyer templates are all 8.5 by 11. Okay, so I do have some things that are just straight, pure signage. So that can be really handy. And then there are some types that contain information or possibly instructions. So I'm going to select this template. So I'll click on the blue button to create. And then it's going to open up in the drag and drop editor. Okay, so when I first get into the drag and drop editor, I'm not going to be able to see the entirety of my item, but there is a little toggle here. So I can see right now I'm at 100% view, so I can zoom in if I wanted to, and I can zoom out if I need to. So my personal preference is to zoom out to see as much of the template at one time as possible. But again, that's just a personal preference. On the left-hand side, I have my options here for text, images, shapes, and branding. And then within the item itself, as I hover over the pieces, I can see I get the little cross arrows. So those are pieces that I can click on to edit or delete or move around my item. So all the text as well, you can see if I click on it, it's actually a text box. Okay. So let's say I go in, if I want to, of course, edit any of the text, I simply click, and now I have the editing frame around that text box, which means I can then click in there and edit as needed. So and let's say Okay, so I just edit as needed, and I can go, okay, well, I actually don't like it if my text comes down and around like that. I would like this to all be on one line. So I could either edit the size. So when I'm in this text box, my text size is at the top there, so I can see my font, my text size is at 15. So I could change that. Or I could think, okay, well, actually, I don't want it to be too small because I want to make sure that it is easily readable for people. So I can then just choose other options here. So what I'm going to do is, rather than having the minutes section, I'll just do that. Okay. When I'm in the text box as well, I can also see the spacing, so how much space there is between each line of text. And I kind of feel maybe this is a little too close together. I would like that spread out more. So I simply select my text, and then in my spacing, I can just use the increase or decrease there. And yeah, then I prefer that. Okay, so that's something then that I would want them all to be the same. Of course, you want to have consistency. Okay, so if you're in the text box and you're editing and then you're done, you just simply click out and the editing box disappears, okay? So other parts to this template, of course, I just go through in each section. So this is its own text box. And again, I just go ahead and edit as needed. Then there's also the images. So each of these is a shape. So you can see that there's shapes involved. So this is just a circle, and they've selected a color for that circle. And then within that circle is an image. So if I click on it, I can see, I get the editing box around the image. Whenever I click on an image, I then get the image editing toolbar. So you can see here, these options will then appear because these are all things I can do and only do with images. These images that are in here right now are icon images. LibraryAware has an extensive database of images to choose from. There's icon images, there's photo images, there's illustration images, tons and tons of stuff. So let's say that for this one, I actually don't really like this icon. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm on my editing toolbar, my image editing toolbar. I'm going to select this icon, which is my swap image. So if I click that, it's then going to bring up the LibraryAware image selector. There we go. Okay, so when the image selector comes up, it always has most recently added things showing, and it will show both what they call stock photos. So those are the photos or the images that are included with LibraryAware, as well as any images that you have uploaded from your organization, okay? So I have a little search box here. So rather than a coin, I want $1, and I want an icon style image. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to see, there's actually quite a few options. The style of the poster, my poster template, all those icons were white, so I kind of want to stick with that. So They're hard to see, I get that, because they're white, but if you hover over it, you'll get a little pop-up that lets you sort of see a little more detail. But there I can see this is called icon dollar bill white. So I'm going to go ahead and select that image. Now what happens is it comes in at the same size and aspect ratio of the image that we're replacing. So that we can see it's just going to give us that little square. If we want to adjust that, so I do want to be able to see the entire icon. So I'm going to adjust the edges, and then I'm going to say accept. And then now I can see it's too big for that square, so I can simply click on the corners and adjust the size, and then drag it until it's in a position I'm happy with. To help me with moving pieces around, I have the option, so this gear icon here, if I click on that, that's my settings, I can turn on my grid lines. Okay, so that's going to help me line things up if I want to move pieces around. Okay. So at any time I can just pop in there and turn that on or off. Okay. So other things I can edit, so these colored bars, again, those are just shapes. And let's say I don't want this color. I want it to be a different color. So I can click on it, and then I have my color option here. And if I know a hex code of a color, I can put in the hex code, I can put in the RGB code, or I can just simply pull this little dot within the color range here. So let's say I want something more yellow. Okay, and then I'm happy with that. So once I've moved it, I simply click out, and I click out to not be editing that piece, and then that's changed. And now if I look at it and I went, oh, actually, no, it did look better blue, I have a handy dandy undo button. So I can click on that and be like, oh, that's better. Okay, so we can see this template had a branding block, and I can see my branding is automatically showing here at the bottom. There's nothing special I had to do to get that. If I did happen to have branding options on the left here for branding, I can see, okay, I have a default branding block and an alternate branding block. So let's say I wanted the alternate instead. I would just click on it and then drag it over till it fills that branding blocks box. And now my branding is the alternate branding. Okay. So once I'm done editing, I click on save, and then that's going to prompt me to name the item. So I'm just going to simply call it reopening flyer. Oops. And then it's going to ask me, so we can see here there's still, because it was such a recent change, they're still working on changing that terminology. So here it's already asking for folder, but here it's saying promotion. Don't panic, those mean the same thing. It's just such a new changeover. So I can either put it in a brand new folder, so I can create a folder right from here that this item will go in, but I know I've already created a folder for it. So from the drop down, I can just select the folder that I want it to go in. Okay, and then I click save. I get this little pop-up at the bottom that lets me know when the item has been saved. And then I can exit from the editor. Okay, so now I'm in this folder. It's my reopening folder, and I have one item, and it's showing me the thumbnail of that one item, and it gives me all the information I need. It's my reopening flyer. Okay, and because it's something I created, it's automatically starred. Okay, so that was an information or signage style template. Let's go ahead now and create an event item. So again, I can, from within my folder, I could create an item. But what I'm going to be creating is an event, and I don't want it to be in this folder. It would go in a different folder. So what I can do instead is I can just simply go to my home page, and then I can go ahead and search for the type of template or the theme of template that I would like. So I'm going to search for gardening. Okay, and it looks like I'm going to get a lot of options. So again, on the left, I can refine, limit the results here. So let's say for this, what I want are flyers quarter. So that's an 8.5 by 11 page that is then split so that you get 4 items to a page. Okay, so I'm going to select flyers quarter, and then I'm going to see what my options are. So I can look through anything. I can use my preview to look more in depth. So why don't we select this one? So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. So for this template I've chosen, go. So even though it's a 4 to a page, you're just editing the 1 because they're 4 identical to the page. So I'm going to zoom in. So this template has this thing in the middle, what they call a frame. So this piece here is a frame. So this is different from a shape. This is actually considered an image, which means that you can't adjust the color of it. The color is the color, okay? If I was choosing something from over here, if I was selecting a shape from over here, I could adjust the size and the color, however I wanted. But images from the image selector, I can't edit the colors, okay? Put that back where I got it. So for this template as well, when you have different pieces, so I have a background image, I have the frame, and then I have text and an image on top of the frame. Those are called layers. So I have all these different layers. So if I click on any of the layers, I can see my layer option here, and then I can move things in front of or behind as needed. Okay, so if I move that to the back, I can then see my background image is now superimposed over that. Okay, so let's say this background image, I'd like to change that. So I can click on that, get my image options, and I'm going to swap image. And so images like that, which are just sort of patterns, those are called background images. So when my image selector comes up, what I can then search for is background. Now that's going to give me a lot of things, so I can add extra terms in there if I wanted to. Let's try plants and see if I get anything for that. Ooh, so there's lots of stuff here. And of course, background images can be photographic images as well. But then of course, there can also be these So let's go ahead and I'm going to take plants out of my search terms just by clicking on the X with it. And then I'm going to just put in green and see what types of backgrounds I get that feature green. Okay, so I've got this is clovers. And that's just a pattern. Let's say that's what I want, is I want to go with just a pattern. I can then say select. Accept. Yep. Oh, I was clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so this is where the undo button comes in handy. So I wasn't clicked on the background image, I was clicked on the frame. So let's undo. Okay, so I just have to move that out of the way to be able to get to this background image. Okay, so now I go back into my swap. My apologies for how slow this is today. There we go. Actually, I'm going to choose the clovers. I like the clovers. Let's go with that. Okay. Accept. Click out of it. Move this back into the correct place. There. So now I have a new background. Okay, and then I can just go through and again, edit all the pieces as needed. So let's say for my title, okay, so because I'm now getting larger, I can then just move all my other pieces down so that this will then fit and not run into the other pieces. And let's say I really don't like this font. My font options, it's just a drop-down menu here. So I can just go through, okay, so let's say I like that one, but of course that's definitely too big. So I can use my size to change the size of my text, and I can just use the little arrows, or I can type in a number. Okay, so that's, there we go. Yeah, so let's say I like that, okay? And I'm gonna say, you know what, I don't like the black text. Let's change the color of the text. So this is my text color. It's that capital A with the underline. It's just a drop down. I can choose one of the automatic colors there, or if I go to more colors, again, I can click and drag around in the little color box, or I can enter hex codes or RGB codes. I'm just gonna go with white. So once I've selected a color here, I just click on the little color wheel to set. And then that's now changed the color of my text. Okay, let's say I had this information in here too, but I wanted more text. I would then go to my text and I have header, subheader, normal, accent. So that's just size, and it's just starting size because again, you can customize the size for whatever you need. But let's say I'm going to go normal. I just click and drag that over, and then it just pops in as a text box that I can then move around and adjust as needed. Okay, so default, it is aligning left. Everything else in my item is centered, so I'm going to want to center this. So my alignment, my justification is here, and then in the drop down, I just change to center. Okay. let's say, so this image here, now I could swap image, but let's say I had deleted it, and then when I was done editing, I'm like, oh, actually, I would like to have an image there. So to insert an image, I can go over here to images. These are the types of images I can put in. I just want a regular image. I don't want to do a book jacket or AV cover art. So click on that. I drag it over, and then it's just going to create the image container, the box. So then in here, I'm just going to say plant, and I want an icon style. There we go. Okay, so that's going to give me some different icons here. These ones are cool, but because they're going onto a green background, that's not going to really work. We've got some white ones, but let's say I like this one. This one's cute. So let's select. So it's going to go in the full size of the image file, but I can simply edit that by using my corners. Okay, so I just resize it, move it around as needed. Again, I could use my grid lines if I wanted to help me position it. Okay. And let's say I'm happy with what I've done now, so I can just go ahead and click on save. So again, it's going to prompt me. I have to give this a name, so gardening. And let's say I don't have an existing promotion that this could go in, or folder, my apologies. So I'm going to then create a new folder for it to go in, and I'm going to call it adult programs. And now I save. Okay, it's telling me it's been saved. So I can now exit out of it. And now here I am in my folders. Here's my adult programs folder with this new item in it. Okay. So at any time, I can simply click on all folders to see the list of all the folders I have. And my newer ones are going to show up at the top. And of course, any that I have created myself or that I have selected as a favorite, I just click on the little stars. Okay, so the last style I want to show you is one of the book ones, because these are really handy for promoting your collection. They're great for going along with any displays that you might want to create. So again, I can just, from my home, so that I get my search bar here, and let's say, okay, so I'm going to do my search for Downton Abbey, and I've got some options here. I've got bookmarks. Oh, I've got a bifold brochure, or I have this flyer. So again, I can use my preview, and that's going to allow me to see. So for this template, there's no branding block. Okay. And I'm going to say yes. Okay, this is what I want to create. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom out. So if I wanted to, if I was happy with this, how it is, I could just go ahead and all I would need to do is save it and I'm ready to go. But let's say I wanted to go through and I only wanted to have things on here, items that I actually had that were owned by my library. I could do that. And then anything that I wanted to change, I would just click on it to get my image editing toolbar. I would go to my swap image, and then when my image selector came up, I could switch over to the book jackets tab. Okay, and then I can search author, title, ISBN, whatever I needed to. Okay, I find the one that I want, and I select that jacket, and it's going to automatically put it in at the same size as the container, which is great because that means that everything on this poster is all evenly laid out, same sizes, etc. Okay. So if once I've swapped out everything that I needed to, I simply save. And I select the folder. So this is going to go in my Reader's Advisory folder. And I'm done. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to go through with you within the live demo. I just wanted to, I'm just going to exit out of here. If anytime you're using LibraryAware and you're wanting to change images, and let's say in the LibraryAware image selector, there aren't any images that you are happy with, you can go ahead and upload your own images. Just going to edit this. So I really suggest a great resource is this website. It's called Pixabay, pixabay.com. You can just create yourself a free login account, and it's just amazing, high quality, awesome images that are completely 100% free to use. So many things, and again, there's photographs, there's also illustration style as well. So let's say I wanted to swap out this image for something that I'm going to find on here. So let's say, okay, so let's say I like this one. So if I click on it, I could download it to my computer and then upload it into LibraryAware. I can also, if I right click on it, I can get the image address, just copy that. And then when I'm in LibraryAware and I go to swap image, I can enter the URL in this box provided at the bottom here. And it automatically uploads it from the URL. Okay, so then I select that, accept. Okay. Okay, perfect. We have a couple of questions here. So, does the guide address the default logo? I don't think I do have any information in the guide about branding, but the guide, I'm just going, oh, oops, sorry, I'm just going to exit out of here. The guide was put together completely with help pages from the LibraryAware help manuals or help site. So when I'm in LibraryAware, I simply click on my help link. It's going to open up in a new tab. And then I just type in branding. There's lots of options there. So Sometimes, so somebody's having an issue getting the default logo so that it's not blurry. If it's blurry, chances are that the file is not, it's not a high quality file. The pixel density isn't strong enough. And unfortunately, you can't fix that within LibraryAware itself. That's with the image file that you have. But you can also create custom branding, which next week I have another session that's going over custom branding. So the LibraryAware, when you set up your LibraryAware account, let's just pop back in here. In the admin panel, and then I go to template management, and then there's my branding. When I go into set up my LibraryAware the first time, or for those of you, your system likely set it up, it's just a little form kind of thing that you fill in with all of that information, and then it just automatically sets it up in the format that you've seen here. But you can do a custom branding block, and LibraryAware has templates to help you set that up. The session I'm doing next week, it's just a short session, half an hour or less, and I'm just going to go through how to do custom branding. So if you're interested, I would recommend attending that session. I can send out the link to that session when I send out the link to the recording from today's session. Give you a chance to sign up for that if you're interested. But you can also, again, just by using the LibraryAware help, you can see here, they'll give you instructions on just how to edit your branding, how to add branding, how to create custom branding. They have all of that information. The help pages are fabulous. Very detailed, step-by-step instructions. It's great. Excellent. Any other questions? No? Okay, so again, that image website that I recommend, it's called Pixabay, Pixabay. Just before I switch back over to the slideshow as well, I want to let you know that LibraryAware has a YouTube channel, and they have short little tutorial videos, and they're fantastic as well. So if you look up LibraryAware, and LibraryAware is all one word, so if you look up their YouTube channel, and if you go to playlists, this is the one, this Basics of Using LibraryAware. I highly recommend taking a look at that. You can see they're very short little videos. But just to give you a few more tips, or maybe go through something that I may have skipped over or glossed over for this presentation. So that's a really great resource as well. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so once you've created your items, of course, they're print materials, so you're going to want to print them. So to do that, we'll go into our folders. We open the folder where the item that we want to print is located. So in this case, we went into the Reader's Advisory folder, and each of the items in there shows up as this little thumbnail. So if I hover my mouse over the thumbnail, this little 3-dot menu in a circle will pop up. If I click on that, I can see here I have some options. One is View PDF, one is Print. They both go to the same page. So either or, it really doesn't matter. You select one, and then what should happen is your item, the PDF of the item, should show up in a new browser tab. However, sometimes that can be a little glitchy, and it just has to do with how LibraryAware talks to the browser. Sometimes once the browser doesn't update, then it's fine and there isn't an issue. But if you ever go and you get your PDF preview and it's blank, don't panic. At the top, you'll see you have a piece that says share this content, and it gives you a little URL. That's also a URL you can share with people if you want them to take a look at your item. Just maybe if you're having somebody edit, or you want somebody's opinion before you're ready to produce the item. But if you copy this URL and then paste it into the address bar, the PDF preview will show up, okay? So once you have the PDF preview and you look at it and yes, you're happy with it, okay, so this example, this is in Chrome, but all of the browsers are similar. They might look slightly different, but they're basically the same. You'll have these little button options to print or to download if you want to download and save that PDF file to your computer. So you can do that as well, okay? And that brings us to the end of today's session. So again, any questions? I'll give you a moment. We're just slightly over time. So if you have any questions that I haven't been able to get to today or that come up later on, by all means, feel free to contact me. For those of you not within Marigold, please feel free to contact your systems. I'm always happy to answer questions though, and I use LibraryAware all the time. I have a lot of fun with it, and I hope you do too. You can create some really awesome looking items. So excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and go on, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great day, everybody.